Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BF44 coming at you with another video. So I would have spoken about the Lakers right now. The game is just finishing. It's about 5 seconds left, but I wanted to quickly get on here and kind of address something that ain't got nothing to do with the Lakers. Um, and it's more so about just the evolution of my understanding of what Kwame Brown is going, what got has going on right now. I made a video about it, and I don't think I've watched the video since I recorded it. So to be honest with you, I'd have to go back and listen to what I said. But things have changed a little bit in regards to this. Now, the way that I'm viewing Kwame is it's much more advanced than what I initially was saying. So I just want to come here and say that. First of all, Kwame Brown to me feels like the reckoning of decades of sports media, talking heads, just really laying into these guys who maybe have struggled, or some of them who are extremely successful, people who they can pick on more or less, and kind of give us the entertainment that we're looking for. Most of the and that's I guess is what I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit is what I think is going on here is Kwame's reacting to years of being made fun of. Like, and I'm not sitting up here saying he's a soft man or something like that. He's proven us that he's not soft-minded at this stage in his life. He's got strength and he's ready to roll with his mama's cooking, and it's the spirit of of confidence that I think mama's cooking represents. It's not just his mother's cooking, but it's more so like the spirit, the intuition of a black man, the intuition of someone who has opened his mind to such a space to where he's no longer allowing others to think for him. He's no longer allowing others to tell him how to feel, but he's using his mind and his voice to independently put forth the seeds into the earth that he wants to see, and correct the things that he feels are wrong. I'm extremely excited to see the example that can come of this, or the change more so is the word that can come of this in regards to sports media. Because quite honestly, it's been a very tough thing to watch them entertain us this way. And the reason why I word it that way is because the onus is on the people. If we many years ago said, "Yo, this is not what we want to see. We don't want you to tear down black men. We don't want you to tear down athletes in general. We don't want you to target guys who are struggling and just destroy their name." Most of the time, as it pertains to things that go on the court. So that's important because they're not bashing people off the court a lot of times, but sometimes it does get to a point where talking heads, particularly outside of sports, will get personal and it can get a little bad to pay attention to, and it's all in the name of keeping us entertained. So what I've come to realize is that Kwame Brown is in a position to simply stand up for not only himself, but for every human being that sports media and in media in general has torn down in the process of trying to entertain us. Okay? And in entertaining us, we've neglected to acknowledge the pain that we have encouraged talking heads to inflict on these athletes. Um, and we act as if these are not actual human beings who have to absorb the making fun of, the bullying, the negativity, or however you want to say it. We act as if these aren't real people. We act as if all of us could handle or even relate to the type of scrutiny that these guys are under. I remember sitting up many mornings, laughing at Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless talking about Kwame Brown and Rasho Nesterovich and names like that. These are people with real families, people who poured their whole all into the passion that has made them a fortune for themselves and their families. And granted, too, the talking heads the same. These people have poured a lot into their craft too. They've gone by the rules that were laid out for them to do what it is that they do, and it's all in the name of trying to make a living and live out your dreams. But unfortunately, it seems as if sports media particularly has to tear down athletes in order to build themselves up. I used to listen to Skip Bayless. I still do, still a big fan, but it's just, to me, it's just unfortunate how bad sports media has gotten in this regard. To a guy like Skip Bayless has poured in, 50 plus years of real hardcore journalism, real like experiences of being around some of the best teams that ever played sports, just years and decades of experience, to where he gets on TV now, and because it is the grain, to go with the grain, to make fun of people and to belittle people and to kind of pick a topic and just continue to stab at it, he's been reduced to just petty brawn hatred. And for me, I know Skip Bayless didn't start off this way because I used to watch him on Cold Pizza all the way through First Take, all the way through Undisputed. I know exactly who Skip Bayless is. I know what he displays, what he stands for in his display. I've watched him for years, religiously, every day. I was one of those guys, so it's like you can't tell me who Skip Bayless' example is. When people say this is who he tries to be, I can't tell you who a man actually is, but the display that they've shown us on camera, I've seen enough of it to know exactly who he wants us to see, and he's not the type of person who would otherwise seem to appreciate doing what it is that he does on a daily basis, particularly to a guy like LeBron James. It's just like, and not to single Skip out in LeBron's situation, because there's many others, and Kwame has pointed out several of them, including outside of basketball, obviously. But it comes to a point where it's just like, man, I use Skip as an example because he's the guy that's been at it the longest of all the guys that kind of fit this category that I'm aware of, who have the type of prestige that would be relevant for the conversation. It's him, right? Like, he's the guy that's been around, and it's like, to see him just get up on TV every day and just take the low-hanging fruit and just continue to kill LeBron, it's just like, man, it's not Skip's fault necessarily. This is the ecosystem he's in, but I hate it. I want it to change. I don't want to be the type of person who laughs at somebody else's pain or labels a guy a bust and continues to beat him over the head with his shortcomings or failures or what have you, and not acknowledging that he's had some good games, that he worked his way to the first pick in the draft, that he couldn't have possibly sucked coming into the league because he wouldn't have been the number one overall prospect in that draft class. There's a lot of things to consider, and yes, he brought up a good point, saying it wasn't just his fault that his development didn't go as it should have. It was the organization's fault, it was the league's fault, it was a lot of different things. It would have been great if he had a G League at the time to help him through his stuff. Kwame Brown was somebody who had a lot of natural ability physically. He just needed somebody to teach him in the game, to believe in him, and to not belittle him and break him down spiritually and emotionally or what have you, Not to speak to his mental space, but he needed somebody not to bully him at 20 years of age. Let's just be real. And they created a monster, man. And look, they talked about this man and many others for many years. Now the rabbit's got the gun, baby. That's what's happening. So while I do sit up and cringe a little bit when certain words are said, because it's my natural inclination to just not feel very comfortable when bad energy is expressed, especially toward people that I admire, even if I don't admire them for the right reasons, who knows, right? But like, I feel uncomfortable when certain things are brought up. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, I have to ask myself, did you feel uncomfortable when they were saying Kwame Brown and all this other stuff, when they knew that boy was out there, dealing with already what he was dealing with, struggling with whatever he was dealing with, and then have to hear that stuff from people who are his elders? That's why I'm not surprised to see him so angry at Stephen A., so angry at some of the people he's angry at, giving that energy out the way that he's giving it. I'm not confused about why that's coming out in that form. This man's been bullied by these same people. When he say the words that he say to Stephen A. and he say the words that he say to Charlemagne, well, that situation's different, but he's saying it because they talked about him for so long. And I would have loved to see what a guy like LeBron James would have to say. I would love to see what some of these other guys that they labeled bust would have to say. I would love to see what they think of what Kwame's doing. I'm pretty sure a lot of them are up clapping and smoking cigars and celebrating the situation, because quite frankly, nobody ever stuck up for those guys. Those guys got their names beat up by people who talk just like I do, and they never got a chance to have any get back. They never had a chance to say, yo, I'm not what this guy says I am. They just go out in the street and people look at them funny, and the seeds are planted that these people are losers. And you know how public opinion is. We don't often separate basketball from life, so we treat people like losers because they didn't succeed in what they did. And it's a lot of ignorance that goes with that we were taught, mind you, to portray and to display. And it's just, time for someone like Kwame Brown to have a voice that is so powerful that everybody starts to look at some of the people and some of the tactics that are used within the ecosystem from which they work and the things that they do, and start saying, you know what, that was a norm that wasn't normal. We went along with it. We shouldn't have. And now we're going to change our ways of looking at things. Now we're going to change the way we interact with one another. Now we're going to change how we accept entertainment as it pertains to bringing others down so that we can be entertained. So that's what I wanted to say here. I just have a great deal of admiration for the courage of Kwame Brown. Not only his courage as it pertains to speaking his mind and his truth, but attacking the get-along gang, as he calls it, and exposing some of the inconsistencies in the treatment that takes place among some people who have connections and maybe some who may not. So that's also something very important that he's doing that's kind of separate from that angle. I think it's very important. So what we're seeing is a correction. We're seeing a correction in the stock market with this GME thing and this AMC thing I've been telling y'all about. Hope y'all bought shares. I hope y'all buying them. It's still low enough. You're about to buy them now. And we're seeing a correction in regards to sports media and the bullying that they've been doing for so long. Now the rabbit's got the gun. Kwame Brown's one of the biggest faces in the web, and right now he's much CTV. And he's not only dropping gems about how he feels about other things, but he's reminding us to keep our minds open. He's reminding us to keep our faith, particularly black people, keep faith in ourselves, keep belief in ourselves, keep searching for that our mama's cooking, that spiritual intuition, that third eye, that opening, so to speak. Keep searching for what comes naturally to us as a people. And also, just remember that there are people on the other side of the jokes that you laugh at. People on the other side of those jokes, maybe they're strong enough to absorb that pain. Maybe they crack under that pain. But just remember, while you're sitting there laughing at them jokes, you can be the next person they make fun of. And two, you could definitely see the people who made you laugh get them jokes thrown back at them in some not so funny ways. And that's what happens with bad energy. It comes back. It comes back. You throw that boomerang out there, it's going to come back. And so I would tell Kwame the same thing. Hey, look, you're getting at your enemies. You're beating them over the head, and it's really entertaining, but be careful not to cross over between the line of getting back at people and now being the aggressor for which the boomerang can come back to you. Because that bad energy doesn't stop when you deserve to get back at somebody. No, it keeps going. Energy don't give a damn. It don't discriminate. Deserving, non-deserving. It's coming. Good and bad energy work the same way, I believe. So with that being said, I just want to encourage everybody to treat people better. Be careful about being so very insensitive to you forget that real damage can be done to someone's mental health when you just kind of frivolously laugh at their pain. Or even worse, use it to keep you relevant in your field of business. So that's kind of what I wanted to say. I think that embodied a lot of what I wanted to say. Yeah, man, I'll leave it at that. My name is BF44. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out.